Hello everyone. I'm here again. I'm here to discuss another topic. I hope all of you are doing well. I know Nigeria is tough. It's tough for us who are Nigerians, whether we're home, whether we are abroad. The stigma, the disgrace, and all of that. But I know you are holding strong. Without delay, today's topic is about the practical steps ordinary Nigerians should use for the desired change. The practical step ordinary Nigerians should use, the steps Nigerians can use for the desired change. This topic is coming today because of so many things, so many questions, which I will respond to at the course of this teaching. So many mindsets that people have, which I will also talk about at the course of this teaching. The video would be long because there's a lot to talk about. I'll break it into part 1 and 2, so try to finish it. These conversations are for serious-minded people. So I believe that I'm talking to serious-minded people. I've seen that in my comments. A lot of people have commented, and I will also talk about that briefly in this first part, this intro, before I go into the main topic. I want to clear some things. People have been saying, talk is cheap, this and that. Dele Farotimi did a video last week. If you're not following him, you should follow him. He's on Twitter. He has a Facebook channel with the same name. He comes online every Sunday to talk to Nigerians, young Nigerians, about the situation in Nigeria and what we should do to change their situation. So he's a very inspiring man who I respect so much. So it's important that he talked about that. He talked about talk not being cheap. So I think you should listen to that video if you haven't. So you follow up. Talk is not cheap. Talk has cost a lot of people a lot of things. I just want to add a few things to that. So before we go forward, people like us who have started talking, people who have been talking in the past, have put their lives in risk for talking. We are all aware of what happened to Showori, Omoyele Showori, only because he spoke. We are all aware of what happened to Fela because he spoke. We are aware, I'm using cases in Nigeria, because revolution, what we talk about, begins by talking. Talking is the lifeblood, is the foundation of any revolution. Great revolutionary leaders in the world started by talking. They're all orators. Talking is how you get into the heart and the soul of the people, and that's how you get them fired up. So somebody who tells you that talk is cheap doesn't understand what he or she is saying. Because talk is the beginning, the middle, and the end of anything that will bring change. This topic is not about that, so I don't want to really go into it. Another area of concern which people are talking about is, this one is addressed to the Igbos, who are frowning against restructuring. It's a waste of time. I've got a lot of comments about that. They say it's a waste of time. It's division is the way, the only solution, this and that we've tried to restructure. Ojukwu tried that as a Abori Accord, whether it worked. So why are we pushing for it? I want to remind them that both restructuring under Ojukwu, which is the Abori Accord, which was proposed, and the secession, which Ojukwu also went for, the both of them failed. So it wasn't just the restructuring plan that failed, both the secession failed. And you are saying, why should we talk about restructuring? Why should we talk about changing the system when we already tried it before? That it is insanity to keep trying something over and over again. But today, the Igbos are talking about secession. That failed. That is, secession also failed. After 3 years long war, it failed. But you are still talking about it today. Would you say you are insane for saying that? No. So that something failed doesn't mean we will not try. And I will also tell you why it failed in the past and why we have to continue in it now. It failed in the past because only Ojukwu and the Igbos understood it, saw the vision. They were the only one who pushed it. Nigeria has not caught it. They went to Ghana a few days. Bori is a town in Ghana. They went there for a few days, got an agreement within themselves, and they came home to implement it. But Gowon refused to implement it. So these were meetings that they had with themselves as leaders. The people were not really aware of it. The time was so short that they could not pass this information to the people. But now we have the time. We have the time to talk to Nigerians, to make sure that everybody, not just the Igbos, but every part of the country understands it and the benefit of it. That's a responsibility now. That's why it's not going to fail this time. Okay? We're all looking at one thing. Those agitating for secession, Biafra, those who have gone for elections, who believe in elections, those of us who are talking of restructuring, all of us are saying the same thing. If Nigeria was good, I won't be sitting in the front of this camera talking to you about this. If Nigeria was good, working for everybody, we will not be hearing about Biafra. You get it? So what we're all looking for is that change, that desired change. That's what we're looking for. And we'll get it. Like I said, the vision is fixed. What's the vision? We want a better society, we want a better country. Whatever form that it takes. We just want it to be better, to work for everybody, to work for the common man, to work for the nobody, son of nobody, as much as he works for the son of somebody. That's what all of us are asking for. That's what even the Igbos are saying that they want in Biafra. A nation. That's the language everybody is saying. That's what this is all about. Okay, that's a vision. That's what everybody wants. Okay, how we get there is not fixed. That's one thing you must understand. Okay, how we get there is not fixed. Lagos is a fixed location. We all want to go to Lagos, right? We're all prepared to go to Lagos. I can choose to go to Lagos by flight. I can choose to go to Lagos through Abuja. You can choose to go to Lagos through the road, through Benin. But at the end of the day, we all get to Lagos. So that is what we're talking about here. Okay? I also told you that politicians are not the problem. I told you that politicians are just a product of the problem. I talked about that in my last video. If you've not watched it, kindly watch it and understand it then. Because all of these videos are a continuation. It's like a series. You get, it's a continuation of each other. They are tied together, they're interwoven. So it's important that you go through them to understand where we are. Okay, so yeah, I told you that politicians are not the problem. They're just the product of the problem. If you get rid of the problem, you eradicate all the things you are seeing today. So I talked about that extensively in my previous video, which is talking about the real problem of Nigeria nobody's seeing. Okay? And so that's why I titled this one, the practical step ordinary Nigerians should use for the desired change. Practical steps. Because I believe, I know, I understand that it is not the politicians that can solve this problem. It is you and I, the common people. Somebody also commented saying politicians are responsible, are saddled with the responsibility of fixing this and fixing that. I agree with you. But something you must understand is that until you have a strong people who make politicians act, politicians are not bound to act. People are not bound to act on their conscience, even though that is what we expect from people. But yet, people are not bound to act based on their conscience. They act out of their convenience. If they find any loophole, they will take advantage of it. So politicians will not act based on their conscience until you learn to hold them responsible. So the real powerhouse is the people. Okay? We're going to talk about a lot of things. The steps, what revolution is, and all of that, we're going to talk about that. So come with me. It's going to be long, but yes, if you are really keen on knowing what the solution is, you'll find out through this conversation. Okay? So, I'll give you a brief story of where we lost it. I want you to understand that a weak people are not permitted to develop. A weak people are not permitted to see progress. A weak people are not permitted to be free. The people in Nigeria have lost their authority, have lost their place. And that is why what is happening is happening. We have sold ourselves, or we have given up on ourselves and allowed politicians to have a free day, free ride. It doesn't happen anywhere. It doesn't. Everywhere that you see the system working, the people are in charge. The people are in charge. The people must remain powerful. The people must get their rightful place back. Where did we lose it? Before the British government came into power, during the colonial era, we had systems in place. I talked about that in my previous video. I wouldn't want to go into that in this one, so I don't go into that topic. So yeah, the rulers of these empires that were there, that was in place then, reigned by pleasing the people. That was how they stayed in power. They stayed in power, they reigned, they ruled by pleasing the people. When the British government came, the system changed. Now, to be a ruler, a leader, or whatsoever, leading the people, you have to now please the British government, the colonial masters or something, colonizers. Okay? You have to do their bidding. So, the table changed. For you to remain relevant, for you to get to power, for you to stay in power, you have to please the master against the people. The policies were anti-people. The colonial policies were anti-people. It was starving the people, sapping them of life. But they needed some of the people to be in leadership. That was why we had indirect rule. The British were not ruling the people directly. They were ruling through proxies. They were ruling through selected puppets. And it has remained like that to date since then. That was where the people lost their power. Okay? The African system that was in place was conquered. British government, British rulers or colonizers conquered the system. So yeah, that's where we lost it. But then again, we owe ourselves that responsibility to get that power back. It is when we have that authority and power that we can put our politicians in check. That we can build a state and have a system whereby politicians, our leaders, will do what pleases us. We cannot continue to say, "Naden Sabi," politicians will keep pointing fingers. Just as people will say, the North will not accept, the government will not accept, politicians will not allow. What do you mean by those things? Those things, it pisses me off when I hear it. It means that we do not yet understand our place. Yeah, I know it's hard. It's easier said than done. Some of you will listen to watching the video will say that. It is easy. But the truth is, we don't have a choice anymore. Look at what is going on in the country. We don't have a choice. It's not easy, I agree. But we do not have a choice. We have to do it, or we all perish. So we have to find a way to do it. Okay? So, I told you that politicians cannot. Only the ordinary Nigerians that can do this. And it is through a revolution. It's through a revolution, not an election. Elections only change leaders. revolution change political system. For you to have a change of an entire system, you need a revolution. Any process that you take in order to change the system is a revolution. The process you take in changing your leaders, vote them, is election. The 2023 election had how will I say it now, had some elements of revolution. And we'll talk about that shortly. When we talk about a revolution, what do we mean? Some people think when we talk about revolution, it means picking up arms against the government. That's not what revolution is. Revolution takes many forms. It all depends on what is required. Okay? Do you know? I don't want to go far now. I want to use our own space. What we are all familiar with. In Nigeria, do you know that it was a revolution that gave us our independence? We didn't fire any gun. We didn't pick up arms. It was a revolution that gave us our independence. So you know. So revolution doesn't have to be bloodshed revolution. How did those guys achieve it? There's a question you need to ask yourself. The NSAS, the 2023 election, the NSAS which gave birth to the 2023 election was also a revolution. But the only thing is that the vision or the focus was change of leadership. If we channeled it into something else, we would have achieved it. Okay? It's just that I believe we didn't really understand the concept or the real problem. Then if we did, we would have channeled that energy into something else. You see, this is the more reason why we need to continue to talk. So that people can get a clear view of the direction of where we should go. Okay? So a revolution is what we need. And in a revolution, you do not need to change your leaders. I also believe that you do not need to change your leaders before you achieve your results. You do not need to change your leader. You use the leaders that are there. You put pressure. Revolution is about putting pressure. However way you want to do it. Pressure until change is done. When the independence campaign began, people like Herbert Macaulay had a newspaper company, just like Shore has the Sahara Reporters. The same thing. Herbert Macaulay, who was still recognized as the father of nationhood or nationalism, I don't know what you call it. You know, he started writing, started speaking up. Other people started joining him. And before you know, revolutionary leaders came up. Pressure was placed on the incumbent British government. They didn't wait for them to leave. They put pressure on them and pushed them out. It is that pressure that pushes bad leaders out. You don't change. You don't wait for an election because election is no longer possible. You push these ones out when they fail to do the job. So you put pressure on them. And part of the pressure begins by the talk we are doing today. The very recent one is the campaign for PVC and 2023 election. Do you see the wave of how even celebrities and everybody were talking about it? It became the talk of it. It became the trend. That's how a revolution is done. It becomes the conversation of the day. Everywhere you turned was PVC. It was 2023 election. The campaign for P2B was everywhere. And he won the election, if not that it was, the Jagaband bought the entire electoral system, INEC. If it were allowed to be free and fair, Obi would have won, clearly. So revolution begins by creating awareness. We must continue to talk. We must continue to market the change that we want to everybody. Look, that's why I said the most important part of a revelation is the talking. You don't know the power. We are talking, people are saying we are making noise. You don't know the power of talking. That's why people that know the power try to silence people that talk. The government tried to. Why do you think they locked Nnamdi Kanu? You think because of anything? Because he was talking. That guy opened the eyes of everybody. I was in my place one time. I saw a guy from the north. He was, I think, a shoemaker, cobbler. He came around and they were like, somebody referred to him as Hausa Fulani. My guy, go back. He said it's not Fulani, there's Hausa. I looked at him. I just smiled in my mind. I said, Nnamdi Kanu is at work indeed. This message has gone far. Talk. That's why he's where he is. That's why his head where he is. To silence him. Since he's been locked up now, have you heard of him? Have you heard from him again? That's what they're afraid of. That is the spark of a revolution. Talking. They have a dream. Great speech. Do you know how long Dr. King spoke? Even the German war, the Second World War, Hitler was an orator. He spoiled the people by talking to them. And Germany went to war to fight the whole Europe. Don't undermine talking. Don't undermine sharing contents like this. If we must be free, people must be fired up. People must be enlightened. People must be aware. We must market it. Was it not through talk that we marketed our PVC? The PVC 2023. Everybody was on it. It was recorded that 2022, going to 2023 election was the highest time people registered for vote, even though they were disenfranchised during the election. But it was the highest. And you had young people for the first time leading in that number. So you ask me, what are the practical steps? I cannot tell you categorically what happens after. That is left to take its own course. It will take its own course. But people need to hear. People need to be aware. People need to follow. By hearing the truth, understanding it, and then it takes off from there. It takes off from there. Okay? So that's what I want you to understand. Secondly, like I said before, the people must vehemently place demand on the incumbent government. Don't wait for an election to change your leaders. It doesn't work that way. You will never be able to use elections to correct the process. You must know how to put pressure on the government of the day. How did Herbert Macaulay, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, what's their name? All the people who were involved, how were they able, through a revolution actually, yeah, it was a revolution, how were they able to secure our independence? You think the British rulers wanted to go? Think again. Although, yeah, people will say we only had a political independence, we have not gotten the economic independence. I agree, but it is still the same process. More pressure. More pressure. Talk is not cheap. Talk is a process. It is what action follows. So these are the things we should know in this teaching today. Do we want change? The time is now. There are a lot of ways we can put pressure on the government. Let us start campaigning for a change in system, the way we campaign for PVC. The way you campaign for 2023 election, the same energy. Let all celebrities be involved, all content creators, every place where people go to. On Facebook, you see videos, content videos with thousands and millions of views. Begin to act your little skits. Use it to show. Like demonstrate, act it out. Let us begin to have this conversation again. The same energy, just like the same way we pursued 2023 election. The same way. The Senate sitting there not doing anything. We'll put pressure on them. Everybody begin to talk about it. And it becomes a conversation, it will lead to action. I saw Obi's post a few days ago, which I responded to, about the government waking up doing this. The government cannot wake up. Election is 4 years' time. So if you're waiting for election to change this thing, sorry is your name. This government cannot wake up. The people must take up the responsibility. It is not, government has no power to change it. They are, like I told you, the system that changed, which is they are still serving their masters, their godfathers, international godfathers, local godfathers. They are not there to please you. The system changed a long time ago. So if you don't get it back, no show. Yes, it's their responsibility, but they will not act on their own. Something has to make them act. There's a physics, I remember now. They said the body is said to be at rest until an external force is exerted. It's a law of physics, law of motion. Thank you. I remember, law of motion. Law of motion. A body is said to be at rest. The politicians are said to be at rest, to be at ease, until an external force is exerted. That's the pressure. That's the pressure. I've talked about the kind of restructuring that's going to work for Nigeria. Look, the North cannot hold us if we want it. Is it not more powerful than Britain? Do you know the arsenal, the military arsenal that they used in subduing Africa in the 1800, 1900? But when the time came for them to go, they had to go. Do you think the black people in America were willing to, the white people in America were willing to emancipate the black people? Even though they have not really seen true change, but they've made progress. Do you think that the people in South Africa, the white people in South Africa, wanted the black people in South Africa to get their freedom? The apartheid, do you think they wanted it to end? Nobody wants anything. A body is said to be at rest. The politicians are said to be at rest. The system is said to be at rest. It will remain there until an external force is exerted. And politicians will not do it for you because they are product of the system. The house is giving you shelter. You want to tear it down? Do you buy the hand that feeds you? They will not. So it's not about, even if you elect a good leader there, if he gets there, they would suppress him. they will press him down. He has no choice. It's just like a football team. Messi, they very good. Ronaldo, they very good. Only then go play the ball. Put only Messi now for the feet. Put only Ronaldo for the feet. Make only him play 11 squad. Play against 11 people. He go fit. He won't be able to. So that's the same thing. Even if you put to be there. Elections will not solve the problem. Revolution will. And it's all about pressure from the people. So with this understanding, you now understand that it is our responsibility, your responsibility, my responsibility, to continue to market the change we want. Restructuring is what we want. We want to see it done. We want to achieve it. And so, we make them do it. You have to make them. You have to make them. You don't make them, nothing will happen. So yeah, I think that is it. Share this video. Subscribe. Drop your comments. And I see you again when I see you. Thank you very much. God bless you.